made you cry the most? Who has the nicest body? Who is the funniest? Who does your mom like the most? Who has cheated on you? Who was the biggest liar? Who was the best kisser? Who do you think loved you the most?
Bruh.
Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. Without knowing it, somehow, I don't know how I missed this for the past, year or so. But along the way, guys going their own way got rebranded to Zeta male, and then everybody decided being a Zeta male is actually awesome and socially acceptable and not a bunch of sad, whiny incel losers that can't get women. I don't know how this happened, but apparently more and more people are finding the way, the going your own way, and after the rebranding, it's actually awesome, everybody. Who could have thunk that we knew what we were talking about the whole time? So I came across this term, Zeta male, and I did a basic web search for it. And this is what was responded by the AI in Microsoft Bing. It says a Zeta male is a man who rejects traditional norms and expectations of masculinity. Now, I'm not in for the Zeta branding. I don't care. But it's funny how it's just gone somewhere after the rebranding. A Zeta male does not base his identity or value on a hierarchical model of male success or toughness. Instead, he embraces a more fluid and individualistic approach to masculinity. He prioritizes self-expression, self-care, mental well-being over conformist or harmful attitudes. He also does not believe in defined roles and responsibilities for men and women. Now, that one we might disagree on a little bit. I think a lot of us would say, well, if I'm going to be in a relationship, I would like it to be with a traditional woman. But then when it comes down to, okay, so you want to get married and have kids, and she stays at home and raises the kids, and you provide for the family, guys would say, well, yeah, that sounds right. Oh, so you're willing to marry? Oh, no, wait, never mind. No, I don't want to do that. Well, that takes you out of the traditional, relationship type roles. I got two articles I'm going to read from, and it's just two different sources that are kind of explaining the same thing, that guys going their own way probably is actually right and really smart, but it took a rebranding. This is from 2017. And this other article, I think is a little more recent here. Let me see when this was written. This is from 2023. This is the article that I actually bumped into. And I said, oh, this has been around forever. Like, why have I never heard of this before? But come to find out, guys going their own ways, kind of right. I'm going to read the article, older article first, and you'll see that not much has changed in the 5 years since the first article was written, but the philosophy has always been what we've expressed, going our own ways. This is from pulse.ng. Zeta males are the new type of men who do not play the game, but are societal rebels. Let me just say this before I get too deep into it, while I think of it off the top of my head. If you see a thumbnail like this, which is kind of my traditional thumbnail, I'm going to be talking about men's issues, right? I'm going to be talking about things that men oftentimes have to struggle with. If you see a picture like this with print on it, which this is my ball cap. It was just up on the dash of my truck, and I took a photo of it to make a quick thumbnail one day, and I said, hey, you know what? That actually makes a good thumbnail. If you see this, I'm going to be talking about news topics. So then if you want to avoid the news and just watch my traditional stuff, it'll look like my traditional stuff. If you say, I'd like to catch up on the news and see what Joker thinks about the news today, it'll look like this, and it'll have yellow print over here. The font and the print's going to look the same. So there you go. And that way you can, if you just say, I don't want to hear about politics today, we're going to stay away from politics with my traditional stuff. That's how you know. They say there are 3 types of men. And again, I don't like any of these terms, but it is an easy way to describe. So rather than say, oh, you know, the guy that's a leader of men and you just say an alpha male, and all of us kind of go, yeah, okay. Beta male, yeah, I get it, right? They say there are 3 types of men. The term alpha male shouldn't be strange to you. It's been a pop culture buzzword to a point of overuse. The alpha male is confident, strong male who is the leader of the pack. Things revolve around him, and he leads the way for others. Alpha males are known as the bad guys, the bad boys, a-holes, or even, Yoruba demons. I don't know what that means. The beta male is the next on the pecking order. Not really. It's not even in the same pecking order. He's at the bottom. He's the opposite of the alpha male in the pack. He lacks charisma, charm, physical presence, and confidence. The beta males are the nice guys that are normally friend-zoned by hot babes. I agree with that. Or they get married and become the subservient husband that's only good for a paycheck while she goes out and bangs her bull on the weekends. They say last on the list is the omega male, another term I don't really care for. He's at the bottom of the pile. He's socially awkward, doesn't look presentable. In other words, he's a slob. Nobody wants to hang out with those type of guys. Yeah, but usually that's also a blue pill guy because he'll jump at the first chance that a woman gives him the opportunity to date because maybe she showed him some bobs and vagine. They say apart from these types of men, there's a new classification of men, the Zeta male. The 3 types of men are based largely on how women perceive them and society expectations. The Zeta male is a rebel and doesn't give a damn about women in society. A Zeta male is used for men who have rejected the traditional expectations associated with being a man, a provider, a defender, or a protector. He rejects stereotypes and doesn't conform to traditional beliefs. He marches to the beat of his own drum and refuses to be seduced and shamed by anyone. The term Zeta male first appeared on the internet in 2010. The appearance of the Zeta male in the hierarchy of men has a lot more to do with what's known as men going their own way. Abbreviated as MGTOW, this is a movement of men who've detached themselves from societal standards and expectations of women. According to the Urban Dictionary, it's a self-statement of self-ownership where the modern man preserves and protects his own sovereignty above all else. It's the manifestation of one word, no, ejecting silly preconceptions and cultural definitions of what a man is. While an alpha female might find feminism amusing, the Zeta male hates it. I don't know why they say while an alpha female might find feminism amusing. I think they meant while an alpha male might find that feminism amusing, which it is. It's ridiculous. The Zeta male hates it. Zeta is named after Zeta Persei, the 3rd brightest star in the constellation. I think this is funny because probably a lot of you that surf the web a lot more than I do and get into other men's communities a lot more than I do, you might be like, duh, this has been around forever. Of course we've known this. I just didn't. I never dipped into some of these forums and some of these conversations that just ever happened to use the word Zeta male. They even say, according to a website, A Voice for Men, which I'm familiar with, Percy, I guess I said Persei, didn't I? I meant Percy. Percy is a variation of Perseus, the first of the Greek mythological heroes in Greek mythology. Percy slew Medusa. Medusa happens to be the symbol for feminism. Zeta male is the 4th dimension of men. It will be interesting to see how long the Zeta male will last in this era of social constructs. This is just a term, but they say a new class of men who doesn't care what you think. That is us. We don't care what you want us to do. We don't care what you tell us to do. We don't fit in your social norms. You can't pressure us into doing what you want as a society. You can't pressure us into being the providing men for a society that hates us. But whenever you bring up guys going their own way and you put that in a thumbnail or you put it, or you happen to mention it or you label your channel on YouTube as that, you're the bad guy. But if you apparently brand as a Zeta male, you're fine. As a matter of fact, you're lauded. You're cheered on. This is the story from just a short while ago, this year, basically. 13 signs you're a Zeta male and why that's a great thing. This just genuinely surprises me that everybody seems to be okay as long as it's rebranded. That the guys going their own ways, negative and incels and sad, lonely losers, but a Zeta male is awesome. Okay. And then I have a big summary of thought I'll say at the end, but I want to kind of feed you in on what got me to the point that I'm at. He says, I used to think I was a beta male. I showed all the signs, and I sure as heck wasn't an alpha male. I only recently I discovered the truth, and it's been a real eye-opener. I'm a Zeta male. A Zeta male is someone who rejects the conventional expectations and stereotypes of being a man and instead lives their lives dancing to the beat of their own drum. And I can tell you this, it's an incredible way to live. It really is. I can even say that. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what people call me. I don't care that people might hate me. I'd like you guys to appreciate my thoughts and my opinion on things. And the great thing is, if you call me a loser and you hate me because I'm wrong on something, my answer is like, okay, well, go watch somebody else. I'm not upset by that. I think that's a good thing. And as a matter of fact, like when I talk about whether it's Ukraine or Russia or Palestine or Israel, you know, if I don't word things quite right, I always have somebody yelling at me in the comments, even though they may have misunderstood what I was trying to say. But it doesn't upset me. It doesn't bother me. I'm not worried about what other people think about me. In many ways, it's a superpower. You know, you have the ability to do what you want, as you want, the way that you want to do it. And no matter what people say about you, you're like, whatever, dude. Like, okay, who cares? You go do your thing. I don't care. He says, 13 signs, you're a Zeta male. You don't care what society thinks of you. They're like Sigma males on steroids. I really hate all these labels. I really do. Let me just be very clear about that. But Zeta males, I'd maybe say like they're independent men on steroids, right? If you're a Zeta, you don't care what label society wants to put on you or what ideas of masculinity they've been handed to you and presented as correct. I think we agree with that. You know, they try to tell you, oh, real men do this, and real men love single moms, and real men will provide, and real men will fight for their society that hates them, and real men are whatever. And we're like, no, we don't think so. That's pretty much us saying no. He says the Zeta male doesn't let society dictate how he should act. For him, there are no defined rules or roles reserved specifically for men and women. I don't know about that last part. I think there are some roles that are specifically designed for men and women. I would push back on that. But I would agree that that we do push back on dictating how we should act. The main point is you're independent and outside the normal bounds of what is defined as masculine or feminine in terms of behavior and norms. Again, I don't know about the feminine part. You may like rom-coms and UFC, I guess, or enjoy sensitive songs about heartbreak and heavy metal. No. I'm just kidding. Okay, but you're missing the point here. He's kind of wandering down a path on this one. They don't care if they don't care if it doesn't fit or try to translate that into a slot. They're just doing their own thing. Again, that much I agree with. Now, I do like, and let's discuss. This is what I think he means by you might enjoy songs about heartbreak and heavy metal. I might say to somebody, you know what, I really like Iron Maiden. I like the 80s kind of metal, a Testament, you know. Anyway, there's a bunch of old stuff I like that. But I also listen to modern, not even modern jazz, like 1980s and 90s jazz, 50s, 60s jazz. I listen to classical music. I like EDM music. And at any point if somebody said, dude, EDM reeks, it's horrible. Okay, I don't care what you think, dude. And I think maybe that's what he means, is that we just have enough confidence and like ourselves enough that if you don't like us, that doesn't matter. I think that's kind of the important takeaway from that. He said, you don't really do the white knight thing, definitely. They say the Zeta male isn't into that. If you're Zeta, you may find yourself skeptical about the ideas like chivalry, paying for a date, or other conventions. It just doesn't mean much to you. If you want to pay for a date, you will. If you don't, you won't. Again, I get his point. And I think it's accurate. It's just, again, I'm going to do what I want to do. And sometimes I do what I want to do, and you may agree with it, and you may not agree with it. kind of saying the same thing from a different standpoint. He says you see people more as individuals than as deserving of special privileges or treatment depending on their gender, or I would add on that race. I see people as individuals than as deserving of special privileges or treatments. I agree with that. I see Bob as Bob. If Bob is cool, it doesn't matter if Bob is black. It doesn't matter if Bob is short, tall, overweight, straight, gay, whatever. Bob is Bob. I think that's actually a good thing. I think most of us in this community kind of see it that way, with some outliers. And yes, you may have some groups that you see differently. For example, if a woman is a raging feminist, I don't see her as Pam. I see her as a raging feminist, which ironically is part of her as a person at that point. They say, as a Zeta, you may have quite an active dating life, but find that longer-term relationships come harder to you, partly as a result of your lack of buying into mainstream ideas of romance and relationships. I agree with that, but again, I don't think it has short-term to long-term. I think it more has to do with not living up to what everybody thinks of you. If you're in a long-term relationship, women and society usually expect you to live together or to get married or to have kids, but all those things tie you down into the state. I think most guys in our atmosphere are like, nah, I'm not going to get to a point where the government has any control over me or my money. Well, that's kind of Zeta, at least according to their terms. That's kind of being independent and free will and protecting yourself, looking at yourself above all others. And I know many of you are like, dude, you're just describing guys going their own ways. Yeah, that's kind of my point. That here it's branded as great and awesome and amazing, and you're strong and empowered, and you're probably one of the best, smartest, most aware guys out there. And we're like, yeah, but we just called it this other thing. Yeah, but they had negative connotations to it. You let your relationships happen naturally. They let them unfold naturally without putting a lot of labels or expectations on them. I agree with that. You know, I've said many times, guys, like, I don't say don't date. I say don't get in a situation where you get yourself in trouble. And if you do want to do that, fine, but at least you know the rules of what's going to probably happen to you. And then if you decide to date, then go for it. That's pretty much free will. It's just being knowledgeable of what can happen. But that is, I would say, letting them unfold naturally without putting a lot of labels or expectations on them. This one's interesting. You're high on the social hierarchy. So instead of guys going their own way, being basement dweller incels that hate everybody and can't get a date, instead, we're actually high on the social hierarchy. Many believe that alpha males are at the top, but it's actually sigma males who rule the roost. These independent alphas are much more motivated and magnetic than alphas and less interested in praise or validation. And then after them comes the alphas, and then after that, he says, tie in the social power with the alpha is the Zeta, a man who marches fully to the beat of his own drum and doesn't even adhere to the typical masculinity type of the sigma or the alpha. I think, so this might be best described as, look at the dating coaches that are out there. Look at the guys that are out there that are bragging about body counts, that are bragging about how many dates they go on, bragging about their success with women, right? These guys are like, oh, look at me, I'm a real man. Look at the guys that maybe are go to the gym and are dude bros. And then they look at anybody else that's not fit or not maybe in the same headspace as they are, and they make fun of them. Whereas I think the guys going their own way and the quote-unquote Zeta males, we're kind of like, yeah, but if you're getting a nice body because you want to be healthy and feel good about yourself, that's one thing. If you're getting a nice body so you look good in the mirror and you can get attention from women, that's narcissism. Like that's being needy. That's being needed. You need the validation from women. If you're bragging about the beautiful women you date and your body count, that's you not being secure with yourself and needing validation from the women that you're sleeping with and the other men that should look up to you for the ability to sleep with a lot of women. I think guys going their own way and this Zeta whatever is kind of like, yeah, but that doesn't really necessarily mean, it just means that you still need validation, but from a different source than other people, where we're beyond that. We don't need validation. I don't care what you think. I genuinely don't. Now, when I say that, I mean from a societal standpoint. I care what you guys think. You enjoy my content. I think we have a good community. I want us to be able to have a good conversation. If I'm way off on something, if I put a video and get a lot of pushback, in my next video, I'm like, okay, I need to reword that, or I need to address it, or I need to explain myself, or I need to admit I'm wrong and I made a mistake. So it's not that we don't necessarily care what other people think. It's just we don't take it to heart. We don't mold our personality or our outlook or where we're going or what we're doing in life based on external forces. I think that's pretty legit. He may be outward masculine in some ways, but he might not be. He might seem extroverted or introverted or a mix of both. He may dress formally or just throw on sweatpants. He has his own schedule, his own goals. He's highly attractive to mates and to friends because of his magnetic and self-assured personality. I think that would be accurate in many ways. I know I'm extroverted in some ways. Look, I sit on a video and talk to thousands of people every day. That's a pretty extroverted thing. But if I go into if I go to a convention, if I go to a concert, I go to a sports game that's got a lot of people there, my public meter, my public acceptance meter, my willingness to be around other people very quickly drains. And there's some cases I go to an event or something and I'm there a couple of hours and I'm like, I'm ready to go. Get me out of here. I think that's a mix of both. I don't know about being highly attractive to mates. I don't think I'm way up there on the attractive meter for women. He says you're an innovator. They have the ability to tune out all the noise and focus on your own goals. You don't worry about how others see you. They're intelligent, sensitive, affectionate men who do not submit to what society dictates a man should be or what the roles of a man in society are. Okay, that's one way to put it. There's not much more I'm going to read out of that one. You understand women really well. Right at the top of the advantages of being a Zeta male is understanding women. You're not mystified by the ways of women or stumped in the same way as many men sometimes are. Well, if that isn't accurate, I think we probably know women and how they act and the way they think more than anybody. It's one of the things that we're very comfortable in knowing is why women act and do the things that they do. And that's why we understand women so well, that we know that women don't understand women, and that's why they don't like each other. They say your problem, on the contrary, is that you understand women so well that you may be tempted to play with their thoughts and emotions to get you what you want. I've done this in relationships. I have done this in the past. Now I don't get in the type of relationship where I want to do that, but I've done that in the past. But I think it comes from a very negative, like you don't like yourself very much, nor do you like women very much, and so you mess with them and screw with them and end up being kind of a narcissistic user. But I can say I used to understand women so well that I did. I mean, this is, if you think about it, right? This is the pickup game. You understand women and how they react and what makes them tick and what excites them and what makes them makes them think you're mysterious. And so you mess with that a little bit to take advantage of them. You may also find headstrong, demanding women quite exhausting and hard to deal with, especially their lack of breathing room for your individuality. Well, that's accurate. You won't change to meet a mate's expectations. I think we all agree on that. It's my way or the highway in my relationships. And it's not that I'm unreasonable. It's not that I'm a jerk. It's just, this is my ride. And if you want to come along for that ride, hey, you're welcome to. I'll treat you well. We'll have a good time. I'll be respectful. But I'm not chasing your dreams. I'm chasing my dreams. And if you want to help me chase my dreams and then maybe add your own dreams to the train, the Joker train, go ahead. But I'm not getting off my tracks for you. I think that's accurate. Again, you know your purpose. Yeah. Very motivated, goal-oriented. Here's another one. It's linked to guys going their own way. The Zeta male concept and movement has various links to the men going their own way movement, although it's been a hit with a lot of accusations of sexism and found its narratives work into some of the darker corners of the web. Men going their own way basically means men who don't want to put women on a pedestal or pursue relationships as an important part of their life. Some have described it as nihilism, others as rational stoicism. Whatever the case, the Zeta male often has the guys going their own way elements, and that he doesn't want to play a preset role in any woman's life she believes he should by convention or gender. Nigerian dating writer Amomide Tayo, is that the guy from this other article? Yes, this is the guy from this article. Actually, they reference that in this article. A Zeta male is used for men who have rejected traditional expectations, associations with being a man, a provider, defender. He rejects stereotypes and doesn't conform to traditional beliefs. Number 11, you know how to look after yourself. Yep, we're self-independent. I know how to cook. I know how to clean. I know how to take care of myself. I know how to make my own money. I know what makes me have fun and enjoyment in life. I know what hobbies I do and don't like. You help other men maximize their potential. They're very expressive and willing to help others. They tend to be solitary, but that doesn't mean they explicitly avoid social contact or necessarily shy. They tend to vary between being introverted, extroverted, may have many casual acquaintances or a tight circle of friends. As a Zeta, one of your best traits is the desire to help other men, and everyone really with an understand dating, romance, and life. You're always up for giving advice, and while you don't like to be cowed or copied or fawned over, you do appreciate when you can help somebody find a way in life. You're especially helpful as a male role model. I think this sounds like a lot of you guys in the community. Many of you guys have written books. Many of you have written articles. Some of you have your own YouTube channels. Some of you guys mentor other people. That sounds accurate to me. So that's kind of how you know it's not coming from a narcissistic, like me, is that I do know a lot of guys that you want to share our ideas and you want to speak up and you want to protect other men so they don't get hurt in marriage and divorce and all that other stuff. That is pretty giving if you think about it. You have your own unique way of life. I agree. I'm sitting out here in the middle of the woods in a metal building that is slightly insulated with just some fans running, sweating my butt off. A dumb choice, but also an interesting one. He said if you're a Zeta male, you're in good company. These guys are hot, smart, one of a kind. They also turn on potential mates like nobody's business. I don't know about that either, but but either way. And the big thing here, though, is in my Google search, I just did a search, Zeta male. That's all I typed in. And this is Bing again. I just grabbed this browser. What's it like to be a Zeta male? What is a Zeta man? Are you a Zeta male? 15 personality traits. 11 signs of characteristics of Zeta males. Here's some videos on it. 13 signs you're one. What is a Zeta male? They go over and over and over, but there's nothing negative here. There's nothing negative here. That's what surprises me. And even in the articles, they link it back to guys going their own way. Now, what if I type in MGTOW? They come up with the website Wikipedia. Southern Poverty Law Center. It's a separatist male supreme movement of straight guys to remove themselves, perceived toxicity. That's negative. Men going their own way from the ADL, Anti-Defamation League. A distinct faction of the manosphere, the broad set of male supreme people, anti-feminist, misogynist. That's negative. MGTOW, the Good Men Project, Among the Lost Men, cracking them. Friend being pulled in by guys going their own way rhetoric. As a matter of fact, you notice I keep saying guys going their own way instead of MGTOW because YouTube doesn't like that acronym. Group of straight guys swearing off women. First men, now boys going that way. Manosphere getting more toxic as angry men. It's a rebranding of everything that we've said it was, except they've rebranded it, and now it's positive. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. It's the same thing. They even say it right here. It's the same thing. They've just dropped all the negative connotations off of it. I don't know about you guys. I find this interesting. I find it funny that guys going their own way and guys doing their own thing are misogynistic basement dwellers that are hateful and angry at the world, and they can't get dates, and they can't get laid, and they hate and they're separatists. But Zeta men, which is basically guys going their own way, it's positive. It's affirming. They're probably the most attractive and the smartest among us. They look out for themselves. They're strong, independent men. What's the difference? What's the difference? There isn't any. But it's the framing. Guys going their own way, negative losers. Zeta male, positive, strong, a force for good in the universe. I don't know. But I can tell you this. It is continuing to grow. You know, the other day on Twitter, if you don't follow me on Twitter, and you're on Twitter, follow me at Bachelor Joker. Michael Knowles, who is a commentator and somebody that works at the Daily Wire alongside Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and the others, he's a very religious guy. When it came out and he was saying, oh, we should not be drafting women, we shouldn't be drafting... As a matter of fact, let me pull up my post. Hold on. Here's the post I was thinking of. This is from Michael Knowles. He has 1.1 million followers on Twitter. 1.1 million followers. I have 20,000. So he has, 50 times the number of followers I have? 55 times the number of followers I have on Twitter. He says, Psycho Dems want to desperately make your daughters register for the draft. That got 707 likes on it. I posted, if women can vote for a party that will send us to war, they need to have chips in the game. Maybe they won't be so keen on it if they can go too. They want to be equal, so let them. They can be drafted and work back offices, supply rooms, and non-combat positions. That got 1,000 likes. There are more people agreeing with me that women, if they can vote, they should be drafted and they can work back office, because I don't want women on the front lines either, because if they're captured, they will be, all the bad things that happen to them. And I don't wish that on anybody. And I don't want, if I'm in combat, I don't want a woman on my 6 on the front line. I want a guy that can, at least if I get shot, carry me to safety, right? But they can work the office, supply lines, all that stuff. 1,000 people agreed with me. Why is it that TradCon Michael Knowles posts with 1.1 million followers and only garnishes 707 likes, while little old me with 20,100 followers gets 1,000 likes? Why are more people resonating with what I said than what he said? Because the men that see the world the way I do and the way we do is growing. And the people in the world that see things the way that Michael Knowles see them, or even leftoids see them, is shrinking. It's almost like the middle is getting really big. And what it used to be is the left and the right, they're crazy. They're way out to the sides. It's almost like a barbell. If you've ever worked out at a gym, you got the long barbell and you got the weights on each end. Well, if one side of those weights fall off, the barbell flips out of your hand, it falls over because it's not distributed. And when the weights weigh out on the ends, it's when it's hardest to manage, and that's when things get crazy. I think as things get worse and people get more extreme, there's more people that say, you know what, you're too weird for me. You're too weird for me. I'm just going to be here in the middle. I'm doing my own thing. I'm not following any party or politician. I'm going to make my decisions based on the incident at the moment, the policy, the person, the idea. I'm going to base my thoughts on this one thing, has nothing to do with everything else. That is, I think, what's growing. And that means that more people will be like us eventually. And then from there, maybe we can correct many of the ills of the world because we become radically middle of the road. Radically middle of the road. Maybe that's the way forward, that we get through all of this. And the crazy right and the crazy left, they aren't listened to. They don't have enough pull. Their voices become weak. And we in the middle that decide the world based on per conflict, per incident, per voting topic, per company, per movie, per whatever. I think that's the way forward. I think and I think more people are becoming like that. So maybe that's the good news out of all of this, is that being radically in the middle, extra large, instead of being extra large or extra small, we're extra medium. We're XXM. We're just in the middle, biding our time, plugging our way through life, finding what works for us on one particular topic and not all topics. And I think that's the smart way to do things. Because so far, most of you guys in my community seem to be doing pretty well, seem to be happy. Yes, some of you take exception and get pretty upset about certain things in the world. I think that's understandable. But for the most part, we're just kind of in the middle, watching it all, breezing by with our box of cigars and our package of hot dogs and getting ready to light up the stogie and watch it all burn. And we may suffer when it burns, but we're not going to suffer as bad as somebody on either side. Because I'll tell you right now, just as an example, if Biden gets reelected, things are going to get really bad. They are. But I'll probably be okay. You'll probably be okay if you've planned accordingly. The right will have a meltdown. They'll be going around screaming about all this stuff. They're going to have a meltdown. If Trump wins, I think things will get a little bit better. The left is going to have an absolute meltdown and probably burn, pillage, and the other thing that they do with burning and pillaging. They're going to have a meltdown. We'll be fine. We'll be in the position of, let's see how things improve. Same thing for those of you, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in Australia. Things will get noticeably better or noticeably worse. But if you're a guy that's overwhelmingly centrist and just taking things issue by issue, you'll be able to modify your life and to overcome and adapt as necessary because you're not set in stone on anything. I think that's a huge advantage. I think that's how most guys are in this community. Let me know down below if you disagree. If you're way different and you're like, no, I am really all in on the right or all in on the left, let me know if you're here. I'd like to hear your points of view because I know I'm not. I know a lot of you aren't. So why does this, if you are, I don't think there's anybody extreme left here, but if you're extreme right, let me know why this community sits with you. Because I'm not extreme anything, I don't think, except extreme anti-marriage, very anti-marriage, other than, and anti-big government. That's the other thing I'm probably pretty against. I don't know, let me know what you guys think down below. If you do like this content, please join me on betterbachelor.locals.com. I'm also at Rumble / Better Bachelor, all one word, /C/ over on the Rumbles. Go over and check me out there as well. I do a lot more content over there I can't do here on YouTube anymore. So join us over here on Locals and Rumbles, and we'll see you guys in the next one.